Hello friends, this is Ganesh. So hope you're doing good and happy new year. And today I'm going to explain about how to understand the existing ABAP form design, especially what is the interface, so how the data is getting populated for a particular field, and if I change the value from the debugging side and how it's reflected in the output PDF. So very simple to just to understand the existing PDF. Here I'm going to use a standard PDF, standard Adobe Form for PO related, PO related stuff. Okay, so let's get into the slide. So to understand the basic things, what we need some details about that particular Adobe is what is the Adobe name and the relevant interface details. Once you know the Adobe, it's very simple to understand the interface because anyway sorry, it is available in the properties tab of any Adobe form. Then from there you can open your interface and see how the data is getting populated in the interface level, or what are the data are coming from the driver programs. Those things you are able to find out very easily. And the business process, if it is a custom, that could be more comfortable because it won't have a much complex design mostly. And if it is a standard, you need to understand which driver program is getting called, this Adobe form, and some configurations might involve, because now I'm going to show you how to configure the Adobe form for the ME23, and because it's basically the configured could be a script or a smart form, and we need to change. So some configuration might involve mostly for a standard Adobe's, and if it is a custom, so if you know the driver program, then it's pretty simple for a business change. Okay, so you need to understand which business process this Adobe is getting called, and then how whether it's standard or custom Adobe forms. Okay. So pretty simple. You know the design. We already have seen 3 or 4 videos about Adobe, so you're good with how the data is getting populated. So either it's from the database, it could be from the driver program. They may fetch using select statement, depends on the business scenario and validations, and it should pass through an interface, and there may be a chance of writing a code in the interface level also, and then it's passed to the layout with the help of a context. So these are very simple. This is the basic flow to be understand how the data is getting populated in your final output, final PDF. And as a technical person, we need to understand how the data is getting populated. Mostly why we need to understand the existing Adobe is we might get a chance to modify our business needs, how the value is getting populated in a particular Adobe form field. Okay, so for that, first we need to understand how the data is getting populated. So normally we go in the reverse order to identify that. So like this, we need to identify what is the data medium of a particular field. So the customer is asking how this address is getting populated, how the data is getting populated. So you have to go to the layout and find the relevant data medium of the particular field. So here the data medium is represents to the context level. It's not an interface because there may be a chance of maintaining a different field names between the interface data medium or variable and the context variable. Okay, so you need to identify first the context data medium or variable from your layout. So what is the binding variable as it's there for a particular field. So that is the one thing. Once you identify, then come to context level. Interface is fine, context level, and find what is the interface data medium is mapped with that. So if it is the same name, it's good. Sometimes if it's a different name, so we need to identify what is the data medium name for that particular interface. Then you need to identify whether the data is populated for the data medium in the interface level. Okay, so interface level in the sense there may be a chance of writing a code in the interface, code initialization, or it could be a subroutine or somewhere. There are some places in the interface to write a code. So you need to identify where this data medium is getting populated. So sometimes what happens, it might come from the driver program through a form interface variable, probably not from the global definitions. Okay, so in that case, you need to identify what is the driver program and how the values are getting populated in data medium from the driver program. So this is the basic understanding to identify how a data medium is getting populated. So the next one is, okay. So in my example, I'm going to show you a standard Adobe form which used for purchase or printout. So basic configuration is required for this. So that is coming under Pro. Excuse me. We need to maintain the message type for the purchase order. In my rental system, they used output NEU, so I'm going to use the same, and by default they have a script. They maintain a script here, and they maintain a smart form. So now I'm going to remove the script and change the smart form to Adobe Forms and change the form type also. And one more thing to be as the driver program, and the driver program is the same, but the subroutine is different if it is Adobe. So I'm going to change this form routine also. So these are the changes which I have to do for the standard Adobe which I'm going to use today. And then there is it's a table where we need to figure it out. What is my program, what is my driver program, or so where my Adobe is getting connected. So those things we are able to understand with the help of TNEPR database table, and the form type to be 2 for Adobe, 1 for smart forms, and S form is the field where you need to just pass your Adobe and you can just execute it. It will give the informations about your Adobe form. Okay, so that also we'll see today. And then yeah, that's it. So let's get into the system. This is my system, so let's get into the SFP, and this is my Adobe form which I'm going to explore. This is going to be used for your printout. Okay, so go to display, and the first thing we need to understand is the interface of this Adobe, and this is the interface. Okay, my drag, and so here you can able to see, okay, let's go through few things in the interface level. Just double click, or you can open in a separate transaction. And these are the form interface which is coming from the driver program, and the value is also getting populated from the driver program for this data medium. So different data mediums over here. And if you see global data, you have very few, not very few, even only one variable GV switch, probably you might work on it. So there is a switch button whether they want to switch depends on their what do you call service, so they can able to switch the switch like on and off. Okay, so for that they use this. And if you see code initialization, it's very few, so only this much code is written in the interface level. So 99% codes for this form is populated from the driver program. So this is one of the performance measure. People are saying just dump all your stuffs in the driver program, not much in the interface level. Okay, so we need to understand how the values are populated for one or two fields based on the layout. Okay, so this is about interface of this Adobe form. Then in the context, so they have different names, maybe not the same. Some things may be same, some is not. I will show you that. And now go to the global data. Also, you have only one, and go to layout. So if you see the names are a little different as I mentioned. So here interface they used metric and here is metric underscore PO. Okay, so same thing they may follow in this particular data medium also. Okay, so only this name you need to identify from the layout level. Then we are going to map what is the exact field name is mapped with the interface variable. So then only we are able to identify the values from the driver program level. Okay, so now go to layout. Okay, so this is just a warning message about the version of your form. So they mentioned this target version of this form was set to lower than Acrobat and the Lifecycle Designer. So this is fine. Still, you can able to go forward. And they mentioned what is the latest one, what needs to be done. Okay, so check with your basis. If it is required, please do the upgrade on that. Just click OK. And you will get the form over here. So this is the form. Okay, so it's very pretty simple to understand the design. PO number, revision date, contact person. These are actually addresses displayed here, and who's responsible, and quotation, order acknowledgement, delivery to, valid from. So mostly you're able to understand because this is related to a purchase order. So you're able to understand quickly about the terminologies, what they used over here. Okay, so this is about the layout. And if you come to the design level, so there are two master pages and few subforms. Okay, so here I have page one and the page one, and this is called title, and it says page numbers. Okay, so that's what they mentioned it. And page two is a different design over here, and then you have subforms. Okay, okay. So in this particular subform, so you have different options like header, change text, header info, acknowledgement, item, and appendix. So you can consider a different internal table or work area which holds the data for this form. Okay, so that's what they designed it. So now, if you just click, it automatically comes to design view, and if you click, it automatically goes to master pages. So now we need to understand how the values are getting populated for any one of the field. Okay, so for that we need a object palette. For example, PO number is pretty simple. So then go to palettes, object, and even in the hierarchy also it's getting open directly where the exact field is used. So in the header, in the general, info 2, and sorry, info 2, and then you have evelyn. Okay, and if you, this is a one way. Another way, if you come to the binding level, yes, you are able to understand what is the field. So it's evelyn. So mostly the same thing is used in the context and interface also. If you go to context and find the particular field, EVELN, okay, so just double click, then you're able to find out the mapping field from the interface. So this is coming under header underscore EVELN. So then you can open here, so header and evelyn. So this is actually map. This is the interface field, and this is our context field. Here it's mostly same. So here they mentioned the general doc number, and you have the evelyn. Okay, now go to a little different one. If you find the address, so this is actually address. If you click, so it comes address header, and this is vendor address. Okay, so address header in binding also they use the same name, address header only. Okay, so now if you go to context and find address header, so here, yeah, so this is address header they used under vendor address folder. It's fine, just double click. So name is address header. Just check the interface, relevant interface field. This is actually include text. So it's going to be a whole the text. So text type is include text, and the text name is address info txadr. Okay, so it holds the address number actually. Okay, and language is coming from SPRAS, and the rest of thing they hard coded it. Okay, so you need address info TXADR, and if you find that field TXADR in the interface level, so here it's getting populated and it's coming under address info. Okay, so this is the way you need to understand, you need to identify the data medium mapping between the context and the interface. Sometimes there may be a same, mostly if it is a custom could be the same. Standards, there may be some differences happening. So once you find with this connection, then very easy to understand the value where is getting populated. So now we need to identify how the values are getting populated for this address info txadr from the driver program. Okay, so now let's go to 1 minute. ME23N, just see the current output. Okay, just some of any of the keywords already open, just click print review. So this is the one as it's getting opened. Okay, so this is actually from the script. Let me show you the configuration also. Go to IMG and you can able to find to the business menu or some simple things we can use. Message type, define message type by search, and I want this define message types for purchase order and is coming under purchasing area. So go here and 1 second. No, I think I closed it. Okay. Before that, I need to show you the message type name from this messages, and this is NEU. Okay. So now go here and just go to that particular message type. Yeah, this one, browsing routines. So print output, this is a program, this is a form routine, and this is a script, this is the smart form. This is what it's got configured. So now I need to change. So I don't want my script. I want Adobe to be configured PDF. Okay. And one more thing, just double click because then only we'll get a F4 here. I just go to save. Okay, or click the details. Okay. So here you'll get the different subroutine name for Adobe. So Adobe entry NEU. So currently it shows only entry NEU. I want this to call the Adobe Forms. Okay. So some changes to be done. This you can just check with your functional. Hopefully he might be able to get it, or you can able to find it once you get the message type from the ME21 or 22N transaction. So let me save it. Yeah, it's got saved. So now I'm going to execute ME23N. So for the same purchase order, print review, it opens in the last time it opened directly because it's configured with SAP script or smart form. So now it's configured with Adobe. So just click open. Open one of our Adobe, like we got two master pages. Depends on the validation or depends on the business requirement. It's open one of the master page along with the details. Okay, so now we need to identify, we know we are going to change this area from the debugging level to see how it's getting reflected in the Adobe form. Okay, so once it is done, this is just an understanding of the existing Adobe form. And if next step would be the change, if it is a custom, you can do directly the change. If it is a standard, maybe you can copy the Adobe form, standard Adobe form, then change whatever is required. And the relevant changes also to be done, either if it's a standard, to be done in the configuration level. And if it's a custom, only in the form is fine because the same driver program is calling the same Adobe form, same custom forms, right? So that's fine. If it is a standard, then configuration is required. Okay, so now I need to set a breakpoint. So before going there, let's see how it's reflected in my table. TNAPR, excuse me, form type is 2. So smart form or PDF, so it's a PDF, and the form name is this one. So before the configuration, it shows number of entries 0 because it's not configured anywhere, right? And it's configured, so it's updated in the table level also. So it updated what is the message type, what's a program, and what is a subroutine. It's the beginning subroutine or entry subroutine for the particular Adobe Forms. Just double click, you can able to see those informations here. Form type. If I change the configuration, I'll show you at the end. Change the configuration, this entry is getting deleted from this program. Sorry, from this table. Okay. So now go to the driver program, F7, and the entry Adobe entry. So this is the Adobe entry NEW. This is the for message type which we are using currently in ME23N. So this is set already the previously. Okay, it won't valid now. Okay, now I just set the external breakpoint and try to understand how it's getting populated. So this is a standard code. So they are getting the data by using some class methods, populating some class methods. There are some validation. If it is a KPL, security agreement as EL, it's then different data is getting populated for the particular PDF form. Okay, so many things are over here. We have to understand few, and we're going to change the address number and see how it's reflected in my PO. So now we go to ME23N, print preview, debug stats. So go here, get into this perform call method, and there is a method which getting the data. So this is one of the method. It's just read the data about this, and the address number is going to pass to some of the variables. So I'm going to change the address number in the global level. So if I change here, it will reflect everywhere everywhere in the sense all the data medium. So I'm not going to very specific data medium and change it. Once I change in the global, it automatically change everywhere wherever this address number is getting populated. So I'm not getting into the method. So F6, and what is the address number? So EKKO address number is 79. So let's go to, that is the include text. So address number is pretty much enough, ADRC, to populate the entire address 79. Execute. So this is the one, right? CEB New York. Whether my it's not opened. Okay, I'll do one thing. Let me execute with the same address number. Let's see the output. Okay, 79, and then full execution. So here is CEB New York, and what is the address? That's fine. Then now what I'm going to do is, let me go back, do one more time print review. Go here inside the subroutine, okay, read data. Okay, so now it's 79. Let me change to 80. Okay, and then execute. Open it. So now it's changed. So company Phoenix applies and that. So this is the previous one, like 79, and this is the one which I'm getting now. It's Phoenix applies. Okay, so this is a way to identify the values is getting populated in the exact place, whether it could be a driver program or an interface. Okay, then it's automatically populated in the layout level also. So, and if I change the configuration, so let's go here. Yeah, this one, right? So go here, SPRO, because it's again rental system. Someone all maybe it's configured the same, so I don't want to disturb that. This one, go here. If find message type for purchase order and find the message type in EW, select it, go here, and let me go to the details. Okay, change this to normal, and this is the script, and this is the smartphone. Yes, smartphone. Save it. So this needs a transport, the configuration transport. Now go to AC16 TNAPR. So form 2 subroutine, sorry, PDF, and this one. So number of entries at 0. It's not configured anywhere. Okay. So this is a way you can able to identify some details from TNAPR table as well. So this is pretty simple. I just showed how to understand the existing one. So just play around with this, and if you have like 1 second, yeah, the item level, if you want to find some values, mostly this item is how it's getting populated. So you need to understand those items also. Either you can go ahead from here, or you can, so these are standard text, okay, and these are items, item material and everything. So here it's coming from item line, so you need to identify how this item line is getting populated, and data binding is also item line. So once you identify how it's getting populated, then it's very simple to understand how these items are getting populated, what the values are getting coming from which fields. So that is also pretty simple to identify. So item, material, and text, only those are coming, right? Item, material, and text. So item number as a description and description of the material. Okay, so those things are coming from this particular internal table. So material is coming and description. Okay, so item line. So item lines are here, and it has a data. Just double click. Okay, it's same. Even this as well, it's same. So let's see. Item line. Yes. So they made it the same name. Mostly drag and drop. So made the same name. So if you identify how the data is getting populated for this item line from the driver program, then it's pretty easy to find exactly what business needs. Okay. So hope this might help. So please go through it. If you have any doubt, let me know. And thank you so much for your time. See you in the next video. Bye.